Welcome back, everybody. I'm Trey Herrera. For those who are new, what are we doing today? Today, before we get started, we're gonna go for a drive in this Trailblazer SS. I had recently did headers on this thing, and we're doing some tuning. So, I already got the tune loaded in, and we're gonna log real quick. So this guy actually picked this thing up for dirt cheap. It's pretty cool story. Hold on, I'm not buckled up. Always wear your seatbelts, people. Anyway, I think he picked this thing up for like $4 grand, something crazy, super cheap for what these things go for. Needed a transmission. He got the transmission rebuilt, and then contacted me to do the headers and the tune on it. So yeah, we're getting this thing dialed in. It drives so good now, so that's a huge thing. Before, the transmission would flash up really bad, and randomly with no throttle input, it would just downshift and not go anywhere. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, we've already done most of the logging on this thing. Now we're at the final touches anyway. Moves good for what it is. Anyway, I hope you guys had a really good New Year's. Let's start the year off strong. I'm really trying my best to give you guys some videos and some content. So I miss it. I'm not gonna lie, I miss it. So I'm putting in an honest effort to get some videos out. That's wild. I think there's a tornado warning, but not a cloud in the sky. Let me hear what they... So the Air Force Base is not far from here. Let's see what they say. It's always super weird sounding siren when they do those. I've been living here my whole life, and even still, like I just remember as a kid getting all nervous about that. But it's pretty chill now. All right, we got the truck up on the lift. I gotta go and unbolt this thing. It's only bolted in one spot, so it should be pretty easy to get off. All right, guys, I had made these little guys, and I had to use my flux core because I was waiting on a new liner for my MIG. So I have a really hard time flux coring now after using gas for so long. So I'm gonna clean these up. They're kind of nasty, and weld these back, and then we're gonna paint them up, put the bed back on, and we're done for the bed stuff. I never even broke this down to you. This was like kind of the first time I've ever done something like this, so I had to really think outside the box. Subframe, as I told you guys, this is a whole independent rear subframe from, or independent rear suspension from a 05 GTO. Before you guys get mad at me about parting out a GTO, the GTO that I had in here was actually one of my customers. He ended up getting rear-ended by a drunk driver, so I ended up buying the car off of him and then using a handful of parts for myself and then selling off the rest. This was one of those parts. So my dad thought it was a good idea to go ahead and do a GTO independent rear subframe on this because he liked how my GTO handled. And I was like, okay, we could do that. It's going to take a lot of thinking to figure it out, especially to make it mount in the frame the way we need to. So I'm just going to kind of break it down best I can. Obviously, I did this well over a year ago, so I'm just kind of giving you what my thinking was at the time. Obviously, with getting better at things, I probably would have did a couple things different, but I'll just kind of break it down for you. All right, first and foremost, the GTO, the overall width of the GTO is a lot wider than the S10. So I was pretty much basing all of my knowledge off of the GTO and transferring it over to the S10. This is where it bolts to the cradle on the GTO. I kind of made this bracket and gusseted it here. On the GTO, this is kind of loose, but I measured both sides. We squared everything up. So this would be where you would do like a cradle alignment with the GTO to get the rear wheels nice and straight with the front. So I made it to where it is non-adjustable, and then the only adjustment you would have is in the back, in the back here. and it'll ensure that the frame or the subframe is straight all the times. It mounts up just like the GTO does. The next thing we should probably do is put the billet subframe bushings in here. That would really help. Next is we use springs out of a E36 BMW. Spring rate on the back is a 10K. I'm not exactly sure what that transfers to in pounds. I think that's probably around the 600-pound spring or so. And then we use QA1 double adjustable shocks. So I pretty much mimicked everything how the GTO went together, just in a solid frame. But yeah, so mounts here, everything else. Kind of hard to explain. This is one of those things that I don't know how to explain it really good. It just works. It's like within a 30-second front to back or side to side and front to back. So it sits as perfect as I could get it with what the tooling we had. Obviously, if I had other tooling, I probably should have tubed it. I should have just did back half this whole thing. But we're trying to go with the least amount of fabrication possible. This is square tubing, but it's 1/8 inch thick tubing. Old S10 fuel tank used to be right in here. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a challenge, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there's several things like I said, several things I would change. I would back half this, but this was the simplest thing we could come up with at the time. But it works, it's solid so far. Well, obviously we got to do some road testing, but it works. But that was the quick breakdown on that. Next thing we got to just drop this bed on, get this mounted, and then honestly, once I get the fan relay for my cooling fan on there, then I could honestly take this out for a minute and get some tuning on it. I have the laptop all set up, and yeah, it's just a lot of stuff. It's hard to explain in that portion of this kind of stuff. I'm not great at explaining, so it is what it is. Psyched it's working. If we were to do this again, I would definitely, if I could figure out some sort of CAD system to actually figure out design, not just thinking off the top of my head, and where we could put it in the computer and use the proper tooling, I would definitely do that. That would be dope. But for what it is, this works. This retains all the factory mounting placement of the bed. Makes it a whole lot more of a race car than the factory S10. Obviously, it would have been easiest to put like a Ford 9-inch rear or like a 8.8 in here and just shorten the axles. That would have been much more simple. But my dad is looking to turn this thing a bunch. So yeah, that's it. Anyway, what I did today, I did add these bars to brace it up some. This was doing a good job, but I just wanted the extra rigidity. Obviously, we wanted to make the weight a little bit more solid in the rear because it's a truck, and with having the V8 in here, T56, and a straight axle, the back end would have been really light. So this will probably help out with the weight distribution. We did add a little bit of weight to it. I still don't think the truck is going to weigh all that much. So, I mean, there's still a bunch of tooling I need to get to actually do the stuff we're doing on the scale I want to do it at. So I need some tube benders, some notchers. I would like to get some sort of computer system to design parts. I mean, I really want to get to that next level of car building fab stuff, to where I'm doing some really cool stuff, and then I'm not going to worry too much about design flaw or anything like that. So it looks pretty cool, not gonna lie, it looks way cool. Definitely different compared to anything else on the road and anything else I've seen. But the other thing I think would do next time is set up like a C5 Corvette rear end in it, or C6, and then have the transmission in the back, and then I'll get the weight distribution like really well. Maybe on the next one, maybe I buy another S10 and we do another project and kind of experiment with that. It's just different. Alright guys, hopefully this is the last time I gotta take the bed off, and we could start buttoning wiring up. So probably tomorrow tomorrow or the next day when I get some more time, I'll be working on doing the wiring in the dash and get the dash all mounted up. And ooh. All right guys, just so you guys could see, that's the movement we got. It's not a lot. All right, had a little brake leak I had to just fix real quick, just barely loose, so we fixed that real quick. I need to clean out the back of the bed, get that all cleaned up, and then we still got to work on this, but everything is as it should be. It's getting closer. I will need to bleed the passenger rear because that leak, I was introducing some air into it, but otherwise we're good to go. We're good to go. Alright guys, I got caught up a little bit talking with some customers, so tomorrow I'm going to get to the valve covers on the S10 along with just starting the wiring and try to get the dash in. So we got a busy day tomorrow, and this, once again, this is before or after work, so that's what's really nice. I have some leeway, especially being my own boss. You know what I'm saying? I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right guys, what are we doing? We're gonna go on a little test drive. Small one, very small. We're not gonna get out of outside of the shop complex, but we are gonna take it out. So let me get all situated and yeah. All right, that's probably the best place I can mount the camera. But let me get this bass tune downloaded from the ECU. Literally only gonna go maybe one block and then back to the shop. Yeah, it wants to stall out. I think there's too much fuel up top. Yeah, so in this graph, there's a little too much fuel. Let me take that out. I'm gonna take about 10% out. See if that helps. Offset selected. Negative 10%. All right, another thing I found on this thing, for some reason the alternator is not charging. It's not charging, but it's not charging good. I'm only getting 11.7 volts out of the alternator, even though I programmed it to, on the Holly, to pretty much target 14.5 volts. So I'm gonna make sure that the resistor is actually triggering the alternator to turn on. So I may have to do some more wiring, but as of now, we are good to start wiring the inside of the truck. The truck is gonna be a handful for the as light a chassis as this thing is. This thing's gonna be a handful, and definitely want to take some precaution when letting my dad take it for the first time. S10's gonna be a menace. 5 years was worth it, you know. It took a lot of time for us to get this thing where it's at. A lot of time and effort, and especially doing it on the side. So next up is this guy. We're gonna be messing with this guy. I'm gonna try to lower the back and get this painted, and yeah. So yeah, we're trying to have everything dope. So anyway, guys, that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. If you're new, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.